Good morning, Peter.
Hey, good morning.
Good. I'm glad you can hear me. Just doing a quick sound check. Thanks.
Yes.
Good morning. Linda, do I need to connect to Zoom? Or do you want me to share this presentation and you can share it via Zoom? Or what is there anyone even on Zoom? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be able to. Honestly though, it's actually not super critical. Let's see. Should have thought about that. Welcome everybody. We are going to do one technical thing and then we'll get started. Share. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can get to Zoom quickly this way. Or did I just do it that way? Yeah. Now I got to go to my email. Oh, just kidding. I want no camera. Yeah, I'm gonna. Okay. But I want to mute it as well. Oh.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Linda.
Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Wish I was there in person, but
Yeah.
I'll
Linda,
be there. I'll be there Wednesday at 7 a.m.
did that fix it? I'm no more echo, right? No more echo?
There's no more echo.
Nope.
Yay. Okay.
I'll be quiet now. Thank
Oh,
you.
you're fine. It's not you.
So Linda, I'm gonna share my screen and then you can handle it for Zoom from there, right? When you want them to see it or not. Okay. Well, no. Share your. But not right now. Because I'll need to share the prayer. Right. Okay. Share and unshare. Well, I'm gonna do. We'll figure it out. Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. It's okay if people on Zoom don't see this. This is for the room. All right. Good morning. My name's Erin, and I am leading a talk or discussion today. So welcome. Thank you for showing up, even though it's just me and not Geshe-la.
Oh,
We're gonna start with prostrations, which if you are familiar, you know how to do that. If you are not familiar, it's a practice that we do at the beginning of a teaching. It's really just a practice in humility. I find it grounding. We are um I don't think I'm going to do a deep dive into prostrations because I'm not prepared to do that. But if it's not already your practice, just feel free to sit, observe, and you can ask questions later. If anyone in this room that you see does them, ask us later, and we'll be happy to share what that means. But it's a kind of way to get us started, and then Linda's going to lead us in some prayers, and then we'll start, and I'll tell you what the big discussion is going to be. It's going to be really good. All right, 3 prostrations for anyone who wants to do it. Okay. And then I'm going to get this guy on my head, and we're going to start with the opening prayers, which is to kind of um help with our minds. But since Linda's back there, I'm going to start by introducing myself a little bit more. What? Is it backwards? No, that's got to be over. That's over your head, right? Okay. Yeah, we can do prayers. This is the best part. Maybe. I haven't done this since the old microphone, so that's how out of practice I am. Okay.
Okay, so in the gold prayer book, if you're in the Gampa, turn to page 34 or the red tab. And we'll start with the Shakyamuni Buddha mantra 3 times. Taya tai om mane mane maha munaye soha. Taya tai om mane mane Mahamanaye Soha. Taya Tai Om Mane Mane Mahamanaye Soha. And then also on page 34, we'll do Medicine Buddha stanza and mantra. I can never remember if the stanzas are in the gold prayer book or not, but if not, just listen and then we'll start the mantra. Bhagawan, with equal compassion for all, whose name, when merely heard, dispels the suffering of the lower realms, dispeller of disease and the 3 poisons, I prostrate to Medicine Buddha lapis like. Taya tai om beckon say maha beckon say raja samagate soha. Taya tai om beckon say maha beckon say raja samagate soha. Taya tai om beckon say maha beckon say raja samagate soha. Taya tai om beckon say maha beckon say raja samagate soha. Taya tai om beckon say Bekkense, Maha Bekkense, Bekkense, Raja Samagate Soha, Tai Om Bekkense, Maha Bekkense, Raja Samagate Soha, Tai Om Bekkense, Maha Bekkense, Raja Samagate Soha. And then also on page 34, we'll do the four immeasurables 3 times. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. And then we'll do page 37. It says it's the red tab. Chenrezig verse of praise and mantra. Not veiled by any fault, white in color, whose head a perfect Buddha crowns in light, gazing compassionately at all beings, to you, Chenrezig, all-seeing one, I prostrate. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 And then also on page 37, we'll do Tara verse of praise and mantra. Tari liberates from cyclic existence. Tutari liberates from the 8 fears. Turi liberates from all sickness. I prostrate to the liberator, Mother Tara. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha. 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 Okay, now I'll turn it over to Erin.
All right, good morning. My name's Erin, and I've been coming to the Kadampa Center for over 20 years. That does not necessarily mean I know 20 years worth of stuff to teach you, unfortunately. And in fact, kind of the intention here is more to just share as a community member, not really to give a teaching, kind of not at all to give a teaching, I think. Although I will reference, obviously, some Buddhist philosophy. Geshe-la has asked some people to share on Sundays or at various times, and the sense that I get is that he does that because he really wants us to strengthen our community, to deepen our relationships, to spend time together. I mean, it's why we have a kitchen, because food is a great motivator and, and a great community builder. So when we have food that gets people to stay or to come or whatever. So it's like that. So I do hope that something that I share is helpful or sparks a reflection. I know that when I talk to other people in our community, that happens for me a lot. So, sometimes just sharing time with people that speak the same language, that have the same kind of um, core beliefs and guiding principles as you is really helpful. So, um, yeah, so we'll start like we typically do with a little breathing, maybe a little meditation. I'm gonna do 4-7-8 breathing. Is anyone familiar with that? Okay, I get some nods, some nothing. So either neutral or yes. I like it because to me, it really does calm my nervous system. And that is what it's said to do from a somatic perspective or vagus nerve, which I don't know a whole lot about, but other people probably do. Yes, getting more people know why this works. And I thought about, should I count? So the idea is you breathe in for 4, and then you hold that breath for 7, and then you let it go for 8. So it takes a couple of times to get that rhythm if you're not doing it. I'm not going to count for you. I'm going to let you use your whatever 4 seconds, 7 seconds, and 8 seconds is for you. 4, 7, 8. And then if we're feeling really settled, we might just kind of follow our breath for a few minutes. So that is how we're going to start. Okay. We can just take a minute to really feel ourselves in this room. It's a very busy time of year. Our minds might be full of lists of things that we need to do, reflections on past experiences this time of year, people we are missing, people we want to see, don't want to see. But for the next hour, we can't accomplish all those things. can just be here. So if your mind is in the future, sense that grasping and loosen it. Just let it go. Any underlying disease, dis-ease, related to the past or the future. Acknowledge it. It's there. And let go. As much as possible, feel grounded in this space with the lovely people that are around you and those connected to us via Zoom. And may whatever we do here today, speaking with each other, listening, reflecting, may this become a cause for more wisdom and compassion for ourselves and for others. Okay, we can open your eyes if they were closed, come into the room. All right. So what am I going to talk about? So I'm going to just kind of tell you like what I've talked about with Geshe Geluk. So earlier this year, I was diagnosed and treated for breast cancer. So I have spoken a lot with Geshe Geluk about healing, wellness. And as we were talking throughout the year, he would say, oh, you should share with the community. Those of you who are around know that like it's been a pretty big focus of his. I hear him say, we really need healing. We need healing here. There was a healing retreat, a lot of other activities like that. So I think it's been top of mind for him. And there have been a lot of opportunities here to practice and like that. So we all have experiences, I think, whether it's with health or other obstacles that can be disruptive. So I think it's not a bad thing to talk about. Just for context, because cancer does touch so many lives, I will share that I had a hormone receptor positive cancer. It was very small. It was like stage 1A. So my treatment was surgery and radiation. So I think chemo is the thing, that is a big common treatment, right? When you lose all your hair, it's very obvious that you've been through a cancer treatment, and it's like this visual sign of something that we're going through. I did not have chemo, so I don't maybe look as much like like that I went through that. But it did give me the opportunity to think about wellness and healing without really, I think, being overwhelmed by having like a later stage diagnosis, right? So it was, I don't want to say it was easier, but it has to be easier. It has to be easier to have like this kind of diagnosis versus a more serious one. Still have nervousness, uncertainty, overwhelm, all those things that we have when we're, just trying to live our lives, and then big things come up that just throw us. So when Geshe-la and I were talking about it months ago, he's like, you should share. I'm like, yeah, that'd be easy. Totally cool. I could do that. And then he would go, okay, so are you ready? And I'd be like, I don't know. I don't get it. Like, I'm not healed. I'm not well. I don't know anything. I just have a lot of questions. He goes, you don't have to. He goes, you could just talk about how Buddhism helped you. Just that, and I'm not saying you don't have to do anything, but I'm just requesting. So I'm here, whether I have anything, useful or not, I'm doing it. Can't say that I'm going to do it super well. I can't, we'll just try. Right. Um, so I don't have insights. I have uncertainty. I do have like a little bit of the confidence that comes with being okay with uncertainty a little bit sometimes. But so I think that's, a helpful thing in our practice that we can get. I have a lot of things that I'm like, well, that's interesting. Let me follow that thought. And then I kind of circle back to where I started. I've thought a lot about the Four Noble Truths and the doctor analogy. That is one that kind of just circles, but I'm going to kind of share that a little bit anyway. Also, Four Noble Truths, Buddha's first teaching, right? So that got to be a good way to start. um, there's a couple people in this room who just spent some time in India, so I know they're probably a lot more connected to some of these things, feeling good about it. So when we have some group discussions, I would love for you guys to speak up. So just for our review, just just for context, is it going to be on the? Yeah. Oh, good. I get to look at myself. I think I'm requesting sharing. Let's see. That's a lot of stuff. Um, I don't know. Oh, you guys, what is the first noble truth? You say it out loud and then I'll say it into the microphone. There's suffering. Okay, surprise, surprise, there's suffering. So Donna and I actually did a talk. Okay. In 2019, and it involved the Four Noble Truths. And so I have like, I went to see, could I put together some visuals for whatever I'm talking about? And I came across this presentation. So I was like, well, I'll reuse some of those. So the truth of suffering. So in the Four Noble Truths, we kind of start with the result, and then we go cause, and then we go result, and then we cause. Okay, so anyone disagree? Is there suffering in our human experience? Yes. Okay. How do we experience that? This is the second noble truth, and it is, I don't know. It is technology. That is one way that we experience suffering. That's funny. Oh, there you go. So I the first truth, there is suffering. How do we experience this suffering? Pain. Pain is a way, physical pain. Pain is a way that we experience suffering. Also, change. Like I'm going through my life. I'm going to do my work. I'm going to do my family. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to share things, have a good time. And then, no, I'm going to need to take a break because I have cancer, right? Instead, you're going to have surgery and you're going to do radiation and blah, blah, blah. That's not fun. And then, Buddhism, the big thing that we'll talk about is this kind of pervasive dissatisfaction, which is what we kind of experience until we're enlightened. So I'm not going to skip ahead, but how did I figure out? There you go. So the second noble truth is there is a cause. There's a cause for our suffering, right? So it exists and there's a reason for it. That's what we get from the first two noble truths. What is the reason given for this kind of suffering that we experience, whether it is physical or mental or just kind of pervasive? It is, the simple way, one of the simple ways of saying it, ignorance, attachment, aversion. So this is what causes our suffering. A cool slide that I came across when I was looking through all my stuff was this one. The reason I like this one, when we talk about sort of the big cycle of existence, it's 12 links, it's a circle, that totally makes sense. And I also like this because here we are in the present in these middle blocks, right? So we are both right now experiencing the result of our past actions, of these past causes. All of this is happening right now. And also, we are creating causes for what's going to happen in the future. So here in the present, there's a lot going on. These are the 12 links, which like a qualified teacher would be great to go over this with us at some point in this way. But I just kind of came across that and I'm like, okay, there's a reason for our suffering. And it's complicated and nuanced and there's all these aspects and layers to it. But like, even for me, I get it. Like it's there. Makes a lot of sense when someone really qualified kind of talks about it. All right. Third noble truth. This is a good one, right? There's a way out. That's why this is the beautiful picture that we got to see at the beginning. So there is an end to this suffering. And there is a path that leads us there. So in our tradition, I think in different Buddhist traditions, there's different kind of ways of framing what is that path. But we at the Kadampa Center a lot talk about the Lam Rim, that's graduated path to enlightenment. And there's a couple core texts that we use. So that's it. Just putting those out there. I know almost everybody knows these. But like I said, start at the beginning, always helpful. And then the tricky thing is, okay, here's the analogy that we usually use to talk about the Four Noble Truths. It's not tricky, it's really easy. So if we think about going to a doctor, like I'm going to the doctor in this scenario because my foot hurts. Every time I walk on my foot, it hurts. It's like painful. I can't figure out what's going on. I go to the doctor and she says, well, there's a splinter in your foot. So I'm suffering and there's a reason for that. There's a splinter in my foot. And then same with the Four Noble Truths. Here, great news. Removing that splinter will stop that pain. So great, take the splinter out. And here's the way that we're going to do that. We're going to use these tweezers. We're going to get it out. And also, we're going to go ahead and clean that area with rubbing alcohol. And I threw that in there because something that I have come across in just like deep dives into medical stuff this year is like the understanding infection and where that comes from and how to stop infection has been like one of the biggest breakthroughs in medicine. in recent history, and that has like stopped so many people from dying. So I'm like, great, that's actually very cool. So we'll go ahead and clean where the splinter came out while we're at it, so that we can, not get an infection and then have a new problem that we have to solve. So cancer isn't a splinter. That is an understatement. What is the suffering with cancer? Okay, it's not just like my foot hurts when I walk on it. Me personally, I had no pain, no awareness of nothing. I just go in for a screening, and then the technician, well, you get the first thing that happens is you get that letter that's like, oh, you should come back. We just need more images. It's like, it's probably nothing. And then you go in and they're like, well, we're just going to do this. And then I'm like reading these reports. And of course, now I'm putting them in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is going, well, here's all the characteristics that they're labeling, and these identifiers. And I'm going, this is not looking good. We can keep saying, oh, well, you never know. But I'm like, I can know through these. But so curious if anybody has any thoughts about cancer, other big disruptors, like what, especially when you can't feel it. So what is the suffering that we experience when we have a diagnosis or a big thing like this happen? Yeah, do you mind?
Yeah. Leave that microphone. Susie, do you mind being the microphone right? Be sure to put that.
I think it's the fear of, I mean, probably worst case death, but everything that could lead up to that, the suffering and the, leaving behind loved ones and all of that.
Right. So we're afraid, and all of the things that can come to mind that are what could happen, right? Like what's going to happen to me physically, what's going to happen to my loved ones if I'm not here. Oh, I'm not actually ready to leave. This could lead to this and this and this. Anything else? I mean, just even like interacting with the medical system, not fun. Like that's not something that people generally like look forward to. Like I'm going to go to these facilities, interact. And I mean, not that everyone there isn't lovely. That is actually very true. People that are in that, in the healthcare profession are generally there because they are very loving, caring, compassionate people that you would like to meet outside of the facility. Coco.
Yeah, going along with that, I think when you're interacting with the medical field as well, there's a lot of not knowing and the unknowing, and they are the professionals, but they also don't have all the answers. And so they're kind of guessing and running tests, and then you're not really knowing what's going on, and then kind of going home while you're waiting for results, just trying to figure out like what's going on with your body. And to me, that's definitely the main source of my stuff. I have chronic illnesses, and not knowing and getting wrong diagnosis, like that's been a huge
Right.
part
Right.
of it. Yeah.
Cancer and other diseases that are complicated, not a splinter, right? Splinter they could figure out. So there's mental and physical suffering, right? Fear, as we mentioned, waiting, uncertainty, decisions, like when they're like, okay, it's up to you, you decide this or that. Like that's horrible. Like, I don't know. There can be some physical discomfort, obviously. And then identity shifts is one of them that a lot of people talk about more eloquently than I could probably do right now. But just kind of going, well, now, people think I was this. I was like an physically capable or, an athlete or this or that. And now I am a patient, right? And what does that mean? Thank you guys for sharing. Those were perfect things. So what is the cause of the suffering? What is the cause of well, like the physical ones, unless you can't really figure it out, which the human body is really complicated. There's a lot of times where we can't figure things out. There can be physical discomfort, or pain. Sometimes that's from the treatment. Sometimes that's from the disease itself. What are the causes for these other kinds of suffering, our uncertainty and our fear and things like that?
Actually, Peter, you can unmute and share what you have.
Okay. I think one attitude that comes up is, why me? Why am I getting this disease or injury or whatever? And that is unsettling and probably not productive. But I think that comes up a lot.
Yeah. Why me? Yeah. And go ahead.
I was thinking just aversion and attachment. I'm attached to what you just described, my life being the way it is and the way I want it to be. And I'm the aversion towards cancer and that other state and that uncertainty.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't like things we like things that feel good and, sound good. And, yeah, we don't like the pain and discomfort.
I wouldn't like being reminded of how out of control I am.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this is true. It's like, we know, all of us in this room, if we thought we had total control, we probably wouldn't be like practicing or thinking in this way, but we still go through our day-to-day life going, when I leave my house, I'm planning on getting to work, right? I'm planning on that. Like we make plans. There's a trick to it, right? It's like you want to somehow remember impermanence, but still get through your day and like meet your deadlines and show up for the lunch that you were supposed to and buy the gift ahead of time so that you can show up for Christmas or whatever. Not that anybody's not started shopping yet. I'm sure everybody's already done. So wanting certainty, feeling that need for certainty, self-grasping, like, and then I put a few physical ones because I was like, well, I got to think of some physical ones, but you guys came up with some more causes of suffering that I think are helpful as well. So there we go. I actually I will say that I did this whole presentation, then I didn't like it, then I did it again, and then I did it last night. Like first I put it off. I kept doing it in my head. Like, well, this counts as preparing because I'm thinking about it and doing it in my head. And then I put it all down on paper. And then anyway, so it's changed a lot. I don't really know what the point of this next one is sometimes. So, sometimes there's a cure for cancer. So this would be the part of if we're talking about Dharma, it's like, this is the good part, right? There's a cure and here's how we get there. In cancer, is there a cure? Maybe. I mean, it has been said that the only way you know if you're not going to die of cancer is if you die of something else. And that's true, because like even in my situation with this early stage cancer, it's like less than 10 millimeters. They caught it, blah, blah, blah. There's still like, but you should go ahead and, take this drug for 5 years because we don't know. There could be other cancer cells floating around. So we should just, like erase all the, deplete all the estrogen in your body just to make sure. We don't know. Not to get too much on a medical tangent, they're looking for ways to identify circulating cancer cells and all these things. Maybe one day we will be able to tell, is there still these cells floating around? Do we actually need to treat them or not? I don't know. Maybe we'll get there. But it's not, the analogy of the doctor is supposed to help us understand like the result then cause framework of cancer, or I'm sorry, of the Four Noble Truths, not the other way around. So we're supposed to be like, here's this doctor analogy. That's how you understand the Four Noble Truths. And I'm flipping it. So it's not totally going to make sense. It's really why Dharma is better as a much more satisfying practice than I think trying to go through the medical system. But anyway, there can be a cure for cancer, or at least people can have treatment for cancer and go the whole rest of their lives and it can never come up again. However, in this system that we have, because we're just dealing with bodies, we're dealing with bodies that are impermanent, we're dealing with physicians who are highly trained, but they're not omniscient, you know, as far as I mean, maybe some of them are, but they don't have all knowing, right? And that's hard, that a lot of the ways that we're treating things like cancer, so we can't say, well, I'm just going to harm the cancer cells. We're like with radiation, chemo, things like that, we're harming our healthy cells as well. And we're going, well, your healthy cells will recover, but the cancer cells won't. So this is an example of me going off on some tangent of like, well, how does this relate to, how does what I'm going through over here in this physical world relate to my Dharma practice, and ending up somewhere that maybe doesn't make that much sense, but I had to come up with something. And so Geshe-la said to me, just speak from your heart. And so it's kind of a jumbled mess in a way, but this is what I have, so I'm sharing it. But yeah, I guess that's the reason why Dharma is so comforting, is it seems like cancer is really frustrating. It's like in Dharma, there is a path. Here it is. I'm not saying it's not hard. It's not, it takes a lot of dedication. It takes patience. It takes probably many lifetimes for us to get there, but it's like, it's consistent and it's there. For me, I find that very helpful and grounding. Let's see. Medicine's limited, bodies are temporary. I do want to talk about kind of integrating the mind with wellness. Let's see, we start at 10:30 and we end at noon. Okay. But I wanted to also do like a little bit of small group discussion, like you guys talk to each other for a little bit. And I don't really know how to do that on Zoom, and I didn't give Linda a heads up. If you want to do a small group, you can. I also think this is a reflection that you can just kind of have with yourself if you don't join in a small group. So I'll
Yeah, so folks on Zoom, I'll put in a breakout room
Okay.
that they can join if they'd like to. Folks on YouTube can just do their own discussion with
their own reflection with themselves would be great. So, no one has to share anything that they don't want to share, obviously, but I want us to get into like groups of maybe 4-ish. And if anybody wants to share what forms of suffering have been most alive recently for you, and then when you're in the middle of that, what makes it harder and what makes it easier for you? Because it might even have a lot of better answers than me. And then, have you had any peace in that process? In what helps you stay steady when you don't have all the answers? So I'm going to let you guys talk for a few minutes. When you come back, if there's any one person in your group who wants to share either kind of a consensus on the microphone for the larger group, I would focus on those questions in bold, like what makes things harder, what makes things easier, and then what helps steady you. So yeah, my idea for sharing what I know is to ask you to share what you know. So I'm gonna give you probably, I don't think 5 minutes is usually, do we have a sense of what's good for discussion? Okay. All right. 10 minutes goes by quick. So we'll do 10 minutes in small groups starting now.
folks on Zoom, you can join the breakout room.
I'll give you a warning when there's 2 minutes left. share your names. I hear people saying their names. Try to sit with at least one person that's newer to you. All right, you have about a minute and 30 seconds left. So if you have not selected someone to talk, or we need more time. All right, we're gonna extend the clock. We're going into overtime. What about now? Can we wrap up in 2 minutes? We can wrap up in 2 minutes. Okay. Okay. We are wrapping it up and moving back to our seats. Okay. We have, I'm not going to tell them that that we still have 1 minute. I'm going to let the breakout rooms. But we do want the breakout room people back. We don't want to start without them, right? Or we can chit chat. Yeah. So the way that the Zoom breakout room works is they get a countdown so they're not abruptly pulled out of their room, right? And so we are on that countdown. But we could go ahead and get the mic in the hand of somebody in this room who is willing to share.
Yeah.
And you have 15 seconds. Don't
Okay.
start yet.
So
So very count you guys. Yeah, when we were doing the 4-7-8 breathing, I could hear my heartbeat so loud. I was like, can they hear it through the mic? It does get easier as you kind of settle in. All right, we're back. And so we're gonna actually, yeah, we're gonna start with someone in this room, and then I'll see if anyone on Zoom wants to share, and then we'll go back to this room. All right, we have someone in this room who is in a group who's willing to share. This is Coco.
So we pretty much got through probably 3 of the 4 discussion questions. And I think overall, our top takeaways was definitely relying on the Dharma a lot to kind of get us back grounded and focused. And what else? That was pretty. Oh, community. Definitely having community around. And again, that we here at the Kadampa Center, we get a lot of community help and support. Me personally, when times of uncertainty, what makes things easier is that I need to be able to control what I can control. And so I need to have like I don't know, like a set schedule or goals or something to keep my mind off of things. And that's what gives me balance as well. Anything else? Okay. Yeah.
All right. Does anyone on Zoom want to share? If so, I'm going to try to put the Zoom up there so people in here can see up there. Can you tell if they want to share?
Peter, you good?
Yeah, I'll
All
share a
right.
little
Hold on
bit.
1 second, Peter. I'm going to try to get the people in this room to see you not as a disembodied voice, but as you. Well, it's got to be somewhere.
Oh, you have to stop your screen.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's where they were. They were.
Okay, one thing that came up to my mind is if we don't have the first noble truth, we won't get to the fourth noble truth. So we have to have suffering in order to realize that we are in samsara and that we need to escape that and to follow, to look for the cause and to look for the path. And it's strange. In Erin's case, she did not realize she was suffering. She did not know she was sick. And technology found that and led her to the diagnosis and to the path for healing. So we need some suffering in order to realize we're in samsara, but sometimes it gets overwhelming, and we're thinking about people like in Gaza or Ukraine, where the suffering is just so overwhelming that it's hard to see a path out of that kind of suffering. That was all I have. Dave, did you want to mention something?
Well, I did want to thank you, Peter, and thank you, Erin. I guess the one thing that I wanted to mention is that, um, you know, the source, the source of a lot of my current suffering, and it may be different tomorrow. Who knows? It will be. It'll be different every other day. It's never, nothing's permanent, everything changes. But, most of my suffering comes from, I would say it comes from my ego or the interaction of my ego with the real me, if you don't mind me calling it that, my centered me. It comes from the desire to control. And and it doesn't, it's not that and that control is not in the form of desiring power. I'm not looking, I don't look for control to, um, to gain power and respect and everything from other people, except for my two adult sons who never listen to me. Even though I've traveled the same path that they have. Um, and, it's like I try to do my best to, so that they don't follow the same path that I did, which did result in a lot of suffering and could have ended up with my demise in this present reality. Um, but I guess that's where it comes from. And I guess what I wanted to say was that what makes it easier is that one word that I was taught by the person who introduced me to Buddhism, compassion. And um, what makes it easier for me is to have compassion for myself in those situations when I catch myself and say, okay, you're being human again. You're trying to fix everybody else, blah blah blah. You know, um, but you can't. You can't. They have a path to follow just like I have a path to follow. And we're different people, different paths. And when I stop and say, hey, I just, instead of thinking they should do this, they should do that, what I need to do is stop and just say a prayer for their health and well-being instead and put that out there to the universe. And when I do that, that does bring me peace and serenity for at least a few moments. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to share. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. It brings up so many good points, and we are going to get to compassion, and we are also going to take my face off the screen. And is there someone else in the room who wanted to share anything? I'm bringing this up. All right. I'm going to go back to sharing so we can all see. I feel like this is going to go to the beginning. Where's just start from here? Maybe there. Start. Ha! All right. Okay. So a lot of that really resonates, right? So we have to have pain in order to realize that we're in samsara, in order to just I have this story that comes back to me all the time. So many years ago at one of the Light of the Path retreats, it's hard when you get up super early and you're only having this one meal. Well, basically one meal a day, and there's all these conditions, and you're staying up late, and all this is in your head. And so I go to take a shower, and I could not get a hot shower. And I'm telling Venerable Tendrin this later, and I'm like, I don't know. I was really trying to learn something. I was sitting there, I was paying attention, I was doing the things I'm supposed to do, and I was there, and all I could do. So I went to, and I just was working so hard, and I just wanted a hot shower. That's all I wanted, and I totally deserved that. And so I go in there, and the shower's just I can't get it. It's barely a little bit more than cold. And all I could do was just notice my ego. And so I learned nothing. And she just kind of looked at me, And it wasn't so extreme, but kind of as I'm telling that story and going, okay, so what this whole experience made really obvious to me was this awareness of where the suffering is rooted, where this is coming from. It's like you sometimes have these moments where you can really feel or sense what is grasping, what is this kind of delusional state that we're or the delusion, not state, but anyway, these sort of thoughts that hold us back from being like really listening, really connecting, really knowing. Or it's just like also what Dave said, like you learn the way you need to learn, there's probably people at that retreat that were getting so much deep, amazing things. And I'm like, oh, I just had to notice this one thing first, you are where you're at. So a couple of the resources that, like I was, one iteration of like thinking about what I wanted to talk about was, well, what were the kind of discussions and resources that resonated for me? And there is this one book called Radical Remission, and the author, talks to a bunch of people who were diagnosed with like terminal cancer. And she's talking to them 10 or 20 years later after they were diagnosed with some terminal cancer. And what did they do? And it's just like, what were the commonalities, the common practices among these people? And this book is a little bit controversial. I think one of the gurus in here turned out to be like a predator, basically. And, there's I wouldn't want anyone to interpret this as like, do these things instead of traditional medicine. I think for a lot of people in this book, these are people that like traditional medicine had nothing left for them. They, traditional medicine said, this is the end of your life, get your affairs in order. And instead they didn't, which, could just be karma. It could also, but there are also all these common factors. So the things that these people did, radically changed their diet. A lot of them got water filtration systems, used herbs and supplements. Those are sort of the like physical things that they did. These next two, I think, are interesting. Taking control of their health, being active decision maker, researcher, like being active in the process. And then they also followed their intuition. So I just thought that those were interesting. I definitely, when I have been unsure about things, like for me, I'm not like an intuitive person, but to give myself permission to be intuitive in this process has been kind of helpful to me. And then this last category of things that are not at all physical, and, or not typically on a prescription pad, releasing suppressed emotions. And I kind of looked into that and I'm like, maybe there's some things that I'm just not acknowledging. For me, I think it was more stress, like work and striving and check boxes and planning and like that. Was creating an emotion that wasn't necessarily healthy. So I worked a lot on stress. Increasing positive emotions. I mean, this is a great one. Joy. How often are we thinking about joy and living joyfully and doing things that cause joy? And then also for someone like me who is like, I like to check boxes, going, that counts as something healthy and positive and useful. And like, I have to think about it that way to be able to carve out time for it. But that's a start. That's like, you got to start where you're at. You got to have that cold shower, embracing social support and, same thing, like, it is just as useful to spend time with a loved one as it is to like reorganize my closet or whatever. more useful. Not, I don't even mean just as useful. It's way more useful, helpful, beneficial, deepening your spiritual connection, and having strong reasons for living. So not as much as a prescription, just as a framework, as something interesting, just noticing that these categories do include a lot of things that what Dharma has been training us in, you know, like openness, compassion, meaning, community. The things I focused on, food, yes, lots of vegetables, exercise. The people in this book didn't necessarily focus on exercise, and the author's philosophy or theory was they didn't necessarily have the capability physically to like make that as much of a priority because of where they were at in their treatment. Sleep. I ignored sleep for a long time and went, yeah. Like, oh, they say it's important. And then I just kind of try to fake it or get a little bit of good sleep here and there. Good, consistent, quality sleep is so awesome. And then, you know, on the emotional side, things that calmed me down, things that fed my spirit in the kind of secular terms, because this is a secular book, I'll say, but, you know, meditation practice. Nature is a huge one for me. Like I kind of always knew that, but you got to make time for it. If I'm not telling you, if you are a person who needs it, make time for it. Another book that I didn't know existed until this summer is called Ultimate Healing. It is Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and it is a series of talks that he gave to cancer patients and some other patients. I got this on Amazon. It's on Kindle. It's easy to get. Of course, he talks about external conditions that can support healing, but the mind being the actual creator of happiness or suffering. Again, not to say heal yourself with your mind, not surgery. That is not what this is saying. But just, you know, I think the really interesting thing is, you know, somewhere I saw like your heal your body with medicine, heal your mind with Dharma. It's not, I don't think it's separate. Like, I think you heal, like your mind and your body are so connected in this lifetime. What you think does impact your physical body and cells and all of that. And there's like, you know, science behind that as well that I'm not going to quote, but compassion is the ultimate healing practice. I said I would get to compassion. It is. It even says that in the title, right? Ultimate healing, the power of compassion. This book also has a lot of healing practices that are available in this tradition, meditations, purification practices, things like that. I'm a type of person that's like really in my head, but for some people, it is, you know, being at the puja, going through the practices, doing like that, and it is very, very healing. And I think anyone, and I think even for people like me who are like, oh, not 100%, like maybe I'm not getting it, but also just exposing myself to those kinds of practices and being as open as I can to them, because maybe it's not in this lifetime, but a future lifetime that this will resonate. And I have to expose myself to it now because I have so much other confidence, or I have so much confidence in the path in general. You know, the different approaches I think are very useful. This guy, he's a favorite teacher of mine. This is Geshe Gallic. And this is a screen grab from the This Week newsletter, which I know a lot of people really love how Donna kind of summarizes pieces from Geshe Gallic's talks, and they share them even with people who aren't Buddhist. So this is when Geshe Gallic was talking about karma, and really more than the Four Noble Truths, I think of karma in this process. You know, another interesting thing in the going through the medical system is, you know, they'll say, well, we just don't know. We don't know why breast cancer happens, you know, and while that is true, and I think it's said from a place of compassion, or like
I think the intention is to not blame the patient, right? Well, like, don't worry, you didn't do anything wrong. Cancer comes up. But there are a lot of factors that are common. And even if, like, for me, if there's, it's like, karma isn't, let me say what Geshe Gallic said, and then I'll see if I can phrase this, right? So in Buddhism, the teaching of karma is for relief. Understanding causality, karma, it's supposed to liberate you. The teaching of karma is designed to help you. The idea that if there are past actions of mine that contributed to cancer now, that's okay with me, because that means that I can change future actions, right? And even if we don't know all the things, to me, it's better than a kind of, well, we don't know, and we're gonna not acknowledge that there could be some things that contributed to causes and conditions now. Someone said tools. I heard someone in their small groups talking about tools. So in the summary of Geshe Gallic's talk, it said, in Buddhism, what kinds of tools do you use? You use the knowledge of karma as a tool. You're trying to see something positive within the situation. It's hard. It's not easy. Not a piece of cake. So karma is the one that I come back to a lot. And I just think it is so liberating. Does anyone have trouble with the concept of karma and feeling like it makes you think more of blame than liberation? Because I can't fix that for you. I was just wondering if, I was just wondering because I have just this sense of relief when I go, there's a cause, and it feels really helpful. But then when I try to explain it, if I was to try to explain it to somebody who doesn't have that same sense or intuition about the law, whatever, about karma, I don't know that I could explain it in a way that would be helpful to somebody else. Like I feel like it's not always helpful to people, but yeah, we have this marvelous brain that allows us to analyze. So, final thoughts from anybody? I feel like I stumbled a lot over karma. If anybody wants to tidy that up or fix that for me, or anything else.
Thank you so much for this. Thank you. Vera Roina usually explains blame as anger against yourself. Like when somebody does something wrong, then you say, "Why do you do this? This is wrong. Why do you do it?" And you get angry at that person, right? Blame is like getting angry at yourself because you did something you know was wrong, and then you get like super angry at yourself. But we call it blame of guilt. We don't call it just like anger. We call it blame of guilt because it is anger against yourself. I heard that explanation recently, actually yesterday, while I was watching a YouTube video, so maybe that's why. Yeah, in the case of karma, if you look at it from the point of view of anger, like why did I do this, then it produces blame, right? But if you see it as a path where you are improving stepwise, every lifetime or every day a little bit more, then you realize that the fact that you're aware that something happened and then this is the result means that now the next time you're going to be better prepared to make a different decision and then change the outcome, right? So you see it as a learning curve. It is not blame. It's just realizing that, okay, this was the cause, this is the result. So next time I'm not going to do it like that.
Right. Awareness. That's huge. I love that word, and that explanation that you gave. And you can change something, but it's not the same as the like controlling behavior we try to have, right? Like it's not that kind of awareness, right? It's like a truer, deeper kind of sense of cause and effect versus I'm trying to control the thing that's not really in my control, right?
Can I give you the microphone?
Yeah.
The point that you've made before, when you live in the moment and you really are present and aware and you do your best to live in joy and compassion, you can definitely make a change, not only in your body or mentally, physically, but also in the whole world, because we're all vibration, right? So our joy, our compassion, our love for others, our kindness really does, it's like, right? It's like in the movies. I like seeing it like that. So anger is something that we might feel towards others, but because we're others, because we're all one, part of the same source, ultimately our anger and others' anger can come towards us. So the way I see cancer is I don't see it or any disease necessarily as something that we create for ourselves, but also that can be transgenerational and something that we can carry from our mother's womb and so on and so on and so on. And there's many, many researchers and also podcasts that we've been listening to throughout the years that talk about this, soul carrying certain, I don't know, what is it called in English? Curses, right? Or like, whatever people find words for them. But I think that this is obviously not being at ease with something, and there's something that causes that in your body. And again, in my opinion, it could be something that's not necessarily coming from you. You could have been the best person in your life, the most compassionate, amazing human being, kind, and still find yourself like a child. Why does a 2-year-old child suddenly lay in bed? Like how many kids are at the Duke Hospital, right? What did that child do? Where is this coming from? So when I talk about karma, I definitely, and I'm sorry for saying this, I keep on, there's this thing, karma is
Oh yeah, the B word.
Karma is a B, but you think about what did that soul, and that's just my opinion, what did they sign up for when they came into this life and they wanted to be materialized and be present? What's their contract? What do they want to experience? So I see it as a progressive thing, but being in the moment and joyous can help you, can help everyone around you, being kind, being compassionate, even if it's, 30 seconds out of a minute, you just progress. And to his point, being aware and not being angry and working through breathing and through all these exercises that we learn to do here, it's really helping me at least.
Wonderful. And I would say this is exactly the kind of thing, let's just keep talking about it, right? Like, so there's so many avenues and venues, like ways to take this. So we are out of time and we are going to take that offline. I had one thing that I thought I would do, but I'm glad that your small group discussions went well. I brought note cards for us to write just because it feels good. And so I found some really cute ones. So I would love for you guys to take a note card, write a thank you note to somebody. I have a few stamps. If you do it here and address it, I will take it to the post office for you because I think like writing the card is going to make you feel good. Sharing the card is going to make someone else feel good, or you just take it with you. Either way, I would love for you to take a card and write a thank you or a thinking of you card to someone in your life. Yeah. I don't know. So yeah.
Dorje Cadro, was it purification practice?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Georgie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So that leads me to
Okay.
our announcement.
and I'm gonna be done. And Linda, can you wrap up all the things from here? Sorry, we're gonna end a few
So you
minutes late,
can
I think.
Stop your screen
Yeah.
share and I'll do quick announcements. So first of all, Dorje Cadros happens here at the center on New Year's Eve. So that's December 31st, of course. It's from 7 until 9. And so join us for that. There'll be Dorje Cadro Fire Puja will start inside and then move outside to the fires. So dress accordingly. You know, you might be a little warm in here, and then so layers are important. But the other thing I wanted to mention is next Sunday is Lama Tsongkhapa Day. And Lama Tsongkhapa is here just in front of the Shakyamuni Buddha statue. And it's a big day for our tradition of Buddhism, as Lama Tsongkhapa kind of is the founder of the Gelugpa tradition. So Geshe Gelik will be here next Sunday. We'll have 10:30 till noon with Geshe Gelik leading practices for Lama Tsongkhapa Day. And then in the evening, it's always nice to do a light offering on Lama Tsongkhapa Day. So we'll come back from 6 to 8 that evening, and there'll be food in the evening. Yeah, yummy food. It'll be Tibetan. And so join us for both of those or one or the other. So again, next Sunday, 10:30 to noon, our normal Sunday time, and then 6 to 8 in the evening. More details are online. If you have any questions, though, just let me know. Are there any other announcements that we need to make? Nope. Okay, so we'll close with prayers then. That's okay. And I realized at the beginning, I skipped, somehow I skipped saying refuge and bodhicitta. Oops. I'm not used to doing the prayers, obviously.
Me either.
All right, so we'll turn to the blue tab in the Gold Prayer Book, which is page 246. And we'll do dedication verses from Master Shanti David. Blue tab, page 246. May all beings everywhere plagued by sufferings of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of our merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I have to scroll. Again, I'm not used to doing prayers. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvest. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may these never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And then we'll do long life prayers first for His Holiness, which is blue tab, page 244. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. And then on the facing page 245, long life prayer for Khensa Rinpoche. The one who mastered his speech at a very young age, the one with great patience who received the name Awatari, the one with great precision who spread the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa on bliss and void, Lama, ornament of the yellow hat tradition, please remain until samsara ends. And then we'll switch to the inside back cover of the Gold Prayer Book and do the prayer for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Prakteka Buddhas, victorious Losang father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of the infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. And then we'll move to the inside front cover and do long life prayers for both Geshe Gelik and Geshe Sangpo. A supreme guide, you lead us on the many paths of virtue. A shining sun, you give us the best of excellent explanations. Supreme virtuous friend, you are a constant Dharma companion. Lama who has renounced fame, may you ever remain. And then for Geshe Sangpo, you who have steadfast imprints of virtuous qualities and keep the instructions of the glorious Guru in your heart. You who pass day and night with noble activities, great virtuous friend, may you have a very long life. And then we'll close with 7 Tara mantras, page 37, bottom of page 37 in the Gold Prayer Book. Om tare tu re so ha. 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 Okay, everyone. Thanks so much, Erin. And thanks so much, everyone, for being here in person and online. We'll see y'all soon.
Thank you, Linda and Erin.
Thanks, Dave, for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you next Sunday and then again.
Next Wednesday and next
Oh yeah, and
Wednesday.
Wednesday. That's the other announcement. Wednesday's class is happening this week and next week. Lam Rim class.